Everybody ready?
Yes.
All right, boy, that's great. I'm glad to see all the seats full here tonight. You're always welcome to the public hearing. I'd like to call this meeting to order, July 16th. The official time is 6:02. Need approval agenda at this time.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion for approval. Have a second? Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. It's our pleasure tonight to have Mr. Ronnie Henson, Sunrise SON Ministry, here to do our invocation and pledge.
Thank you. So stand, please. Once again, it's an honor to be here tonight. Before I pray, the Lord just gave me one short verse I'd like to read, if that's okay. It's found in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verses 38 and 39. It says, "For I am persuaded that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, or any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord." Amen? Amen. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and we'll be glad in it. But God, it's an honor, Lord, to be able to continue to open up a session, a meeting in prayer. And I just want to say thank you, Lord, for allowing us to do that. And also thank you for all the public officials that are able to identify, Lord, that we need you. Separated from you, Lord, we're lost. So, Lord, I just say a special prayer, Lord, for all of our government officials, the ones that are here and that are not here, Lord. I pray, God, that you will give them increased wisdom, give them increased knowledge and understanding. And, Lord, life is really just simple. It all just comes down to just doing the right thing. So, Lord, we just invite you here tonight. And once again, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be able to pray. And we just ask and pray all of these things in the name that's above all names, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Ronnie, we appreciate it as always. I got it right this time. Yes. Oh,
You're very Greyhound spirit today.
come on. You're always welcome.
Hey, thank you.
My high school colors were purple and gold.
Oh, really?
That wasn't your Jones County cover?
No, well, yes, they were. We were Falcons.
Falcons.
Purple and gold.
Okay.
How about that?
All right.
Falcons.
All right, tonight, well, we start with the consent agenda and approval for the minutes. We have the first Tuesday, July 2nd, 2019. We got an executive session also on July 2nd, 2019. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes. If there's nothing wrong, we need a motion to adjourn.
So
I mean,
moved,
a motion to adjourn. I was going to see if, I was going to see if, I was going to see what, no, I was going to see
About to
what,
go home.
no, I was going to see if, I was looking at you.
That was quick.
There you go.
I got you on that one, didn't I?
You got it.
You almost did it, didn't you?
I was like, whoa.
No, I was gonna see if I could get one on him. It's not April 1st,
No,
but it feels
no.
like it. It's a great day.
Hey, go make sure everybody's paying attention, all right? Make sure everybody's paying attention.
Got you on your toes.
There you go. So, Mr. Chairman, make the motion. We accept the agenda and the approved minutes.
All right, got a motion. We got a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. We have a special visitor tonight that signed in. Mayor Pro Tem James Collins and Kayla Collins. They'd like to present us with they've been working hard. They'd like to present us with a check tonight, I understand. Well, go ahead and tell us what you've done. I'm proud of you.
Well, in the month of April, I got together with some friends, the Jones County Pre-K, and we raised a little over $1,700 to put a fence around the inclusive playground, Jaden's dream. It's really important to me as a mom of autistic children that it is fenced in for the safety of the kids who have a tendency to wander off. So we're working hard to get that put in, and this is just a small portion.
All right, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Great job.
Well, that's great. Real great. All right, we start off tonight with our new business, 2020 census. This is a declaration of support and resolution 201-907-1R for complete count committee. Ty Harp, a partnership specialist for the United States Census 2020. How are we doing? Would you like to come forward? I don't think we've got any more questions, but if we do, maybe.
Greetings, everyone. Reed Reed from the U.S. Census. I'm just in town and decided I would join you guys for a quick
Well, welcome.
minute here. We are very excited that you guys have are partnering with us as a partner in the U.S. Census. I've been out in the town gray all day, working in the trenches and meeting with people and all those good things. So we are very excited. Again, Jason has been emailing me back and forth, and we're trying to get this partnership established so we can get it rolling and make sure that everybody in the county of Jones County and the city of Gray gets counted.
All right, well, thank you. Well, I'll entertain a motion to,
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
second. No more discussion. All in favor, aye?
Um,
Ayes have it. Thank you. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to working
Thank
with you.
All right.
Thank you. Our number 2 on our new business is a memorandum of agreement between Jones County and the Middle Georgia Regional Commission for the facilitate the update to the pre-disaster mitigation plan. We have somebody with a, you gonna handle that, or who we?
I can talk real quick.
Sure.
Is there somebody from the regional commission here?
That's what I was looking for. I don't.
Anybody? No. So we've actually already started working with the regional commission to update our pre-disaster mitigation plan, and Don can tell you all about that.
This will be my third mitigation plan since I've been here, 10 years last month. We got a grant, if y'all remember, for $16,000 to upgrade our pre-disaster mitigation plan. It's mandated by FEMA and the federal government. We've had to do this every 5 years. So we've started. We've had 2 meetings already. We'll be working on this for the next probably 10 to 12 more months to go. It's been standing room only, which is very good. The more people we have involved and everybody's puts their word in, that's even better. Because I'm not perfect by any means, but the people of Jones County is, and with what they say and what they see is very important to our mitigation. So that's it. We'll be meeting once a month until we're done. And we're due in 2020, right around springtime.
Great.
And we're good.
We're good. Well, we need a motion to.
Yes, sir. So what you have before you tonight is just the memorandum between us and the regional commission where they come in and assist us with this process.
All right. I have a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
No more discussion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you. Before we go too much further, I forgot to recognize a guest we've got here tonight. Congressman Austin Scott was nice to have Ms. Slayton Carter sit with us today. She's our field representative from Austin Scott's office. She surprised us tonight with a visit, and I told her I wouldn't put her on the spot and do any congressional reports for us while she's here. So, but we thank you very much for coming.
Of course. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask.
All right. All right, Liberty Park lease. Who's handling that, Ms. Risner?
Mr. Chairman, the next 2 items there, the Liberty Park lease and the leashed pets and passive parks, were Commissioner Kitchens. And I don't know if the board would entertain maybe waiting until he got here to
Sure.
to
we
cover
want-
those two.
We can move on and go back to that if y'all would like. Commissioner gets here.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. So the next 2, Mr. Martin, I think number 5, minimum housing standards. We've got a lot of people signed in on the list tonight to speak on that, and I'm gonna turn the floor over to you.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. We talked about minimum housing standards a couple years back, and I brought it before this board. One of the concerns was how do we pay for it? How do we facilitate it? Bibb County has been doing it for a number of years. See it, click it, post it. The state already has mandates, I think for us to copy and paste, so we're similar to our local partners. Makes good sense. You and I own property in both of these counties, and you know, Bibb County standards is a bit higher than Jones County. At the end of the day, it's about blight. It's about safety for all of our citizens, especially our youngest and eldest members, making sure that they're protected. As landlords, we normally do a pretty good job, but we know some landlords that don't. And then finally, for protection of homeowner values. And I think everyone in our county is or should be keenly interested in that, maintaining that value, because that's why we invest in our homes. At some point, we're going to retire, maybe cash in, cash out, who knows. But in the meantime, we want to protect those and make sure that our neighbor is doing the same thing. So without further ado, I do have a few guests that are signed in because they brought it to my attention a number of times. I'm going to ask Mr. Henson to come on up, and if there are any others to follow.
Yes, we'll
your
go
lead.
ahead. If you'd like to start, you've already asked Mr. Henson. He's on the list. If you'd like to come forward, Mr. Henson, and speak.
And while he's coming, I'm going to hand out some pictures that he shared with me. Let me see that light. It's on.
We've got your rope. Now, just for the record, if you can introduce yourself and give your address again.
Yeah, my name's Mitchell Henson. I live on 3430 Joy Cliff Road.
Okay.
Reason I'm coming tonight is called the minimum housing standards, and I have a copy of the code here. Get just some more pass on. Y'all gave been talking to Dayline about that, and we have some issues on our homeowners. Property that has been abused in our surrounding areas, and we are concerned about Jones County's cleanup. We're probably having a lot of people move out of Jones County because the way it's kept. I don't know, but the areas it kept. I live on Joy Cliff, for instance, Emerald Trailer Park. You can't go down through it. There's binds on people's trailers, potholes everywhere, and my neighbor, I have a problem with him. Trash, I've called, Tammy or whatever her name is, for environmental, and have reported it. Trash running over out of the garbage and on the ground. I showed Dayline, I got pictures of it. The same thing, these pictures that you see today. My friend's got pictures. George Scoville lives on Rebel Drive. Another guy's on the agenda. Pictures in their area of stone wall. That has knocked the value of our homes tremendous. And we are concerned that our neighbors keep their property up as well as we do. We've got a lot of them don't care about the property. Some of them are rental, some of them not. And, but that's what we're main concerned about. Getting this passed, a minimum housing code, getting it passed for that reason. Where people, they can't have junk cars that are not running in the vehicle, in their yard. If these cars are not running, they don't need to be on the premises. And issues like that. And trash, just garbage or trash that you probably have 2 or 3 truckloads of trash to haul off just in the yard and on front porches and stuff, And that knocks the value of our home. And I don't think any of y'all sitting in these up front today would want to live next door to anybody that y'all live next door to would want to. You will not your value your home, regardless of what it is. And I'm pretty sure all y'all keep y'all yards up. I work hard at keeping my yard up, keeping the grass, and even keeping the county part of the county right of ways and all that. I keep it mowed. My neighbor weed eats between me and him. I have hauled gravel in there before they pave Old Stagecoach Road. He and I have paid out of pocket, and I've hauled gravel to better assist this road when it was open. Now they've asphalted. There's a lot of traffic on that road, and they throw out trash all up and down the road. And between me and James Bell, we try to keep it up and try to keep it clean. And I asked tonight that we pass this code, minimum standard code, that does not allow this to happen in our county, that we can keep our county clean. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. We've also got Ms. Jordan and Ms. Bartner that signed in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are residents from Joy Cliff Court.
Okay.
And we're pretty much dealing with the same problems that Mr. Henson is having to deal with. at the very bottom. We're in the cul-de-sac, we're at the very bottom of that cul-de-sac. And we're having problems with the people that are further up. We have a rental property there. We have pictures that we brought along to show how the overgrowth, I mean, it's just all about to consume the house. And we have elderly neighbors, and my husband has 2 of those neighbors that he tries to help to maintain their property. And it gets to be a problem when they're not maintaining. Ms. Burton has gone as far as to write a neighbor a letter. Every one of us got a letter from her explaining, you know, if you would just clean your property and keep the rest of that trash and stuff from washing down in the lines there, and it ends up in our property. And we're the ones that are out there that's constantly having to pick up trash and limbs and pine cones. And he's having to deal with the overgrowth on not just her property, but the property next to that rental property that's just overgrown and just coming all over into their land. And it's just making the value of our properties just go down. And for us to have to work so hard when we have able-bodied neighbors that are able to actually get out there and do, but just flat refuse even to get to their mailbox. We call environmental, I believe it was Miss Tiffany, my husband spoke with. The smell is horrible. You can tell there's a problem with the septic. We've talked to Mr. Comer. Mr. Comer has come out there and checked on that sewer line, and there's just like patches of tall grass right there over that sewer. And walking, you know, we try to get a little exercise and walk, you know, up and down around the cul-de-sac and come back a couple of times, but the stench is just horrible.
And that resident has about 20 or 30 cats. They're just migrating all over the community. And the rental property is horrible because you can't even go in the backyard. And most of the overgrowth ends up in Miss Carolyn's yard, and that's why I've tried to maintain to keep it from coming over. It's all kind of critters be over in there, you know, runs over into her yard. But you can, like I say, it's just horrible. You know, we maintain our property and help maintain 2 others in that neighborhood, but we can't do it all alone. We need actually some help. But especially up on that rental property, to get somebody, put some fire on the rental property. I know Ms. Carolyn had to address that several times.
And also, we had the county to come out, and they're concerned with the area up there at 514 Joy Cliff Court, was that, well, the county should be, but we just count on the property owners to mow and clear the lines there. They came out once last year and mowed that little piece, just that one little strip, because all the rest of the residents will try and keep, you know, that area clean, but they came out just once last year, last summer, and cut that for us, and now weeds are up taller than me now, and we just can't seem to get any relief.
Ms. Carolyn.
Ms. Carolyn has a letter she would like to read.
Well, I wrote the letter and I mailed it to y'all to make sure you got it.
I've read it.
And, but then, I'll just basically tell you what was in it. It said, I personally would like to see you pass a law stating that all property owners have to keep up their property, including their house, building, and yard maintenance, so that the value of our property doesn't go down. That the county be allowed to penalize and charge the owners a fee or repossess the property and claim ownership. And if it gets to that point, I'm with y'all. Because we have had put up with this for a long time.
Yes, we have.
And like Stan said, I'd have to move if I didn't have him. Because he really looks after my
Good
property.
neighbors are priceless.
And and then, of course, I went on to say that we have 2 houses on the street with the same problem. And anyway, I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I know other people want to talk. But I'm going to give you a copy just in case you
I'll
didn't
take
get
it.
it. So, but anyway.
Well, we just thank you for hearing us.
We
and hearing
thank
our
y'all.
Concerns, and like I said, we've spoken twice, you know, with Mr. Coma about the stench that's there, and we've talked to Ms. Tiffany about the grass, and like I said, we've actually gotten action just once. They came out and mowed their grass one time last year, and like I said, this year, nobody's been down, period.
Right. Now, the health department, Mr. Comer's retired, so there's a new person in place, so you,
Okay, that was
Yeah, that
last
was-
year.
that was last year.
I know, but if you were to call again, Mr. Comer's retired, and there's a young lady, I can't remember her name, I've got it in my phone.
Well, the
Just a-
house that's next to me is in such bad shape, all of it needs to be bulldozed down and start from finish.
Sure.
It used to be the prettiest place on the street. And it's heartbreaking to me.
It is.
We do thank y'all for coming.
Thanks for hearing us.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
We have Ms. Deal.
Hello, I'm Rosie Deal, and I live in Greystone Ridge subdivision, and I have the similar problem to them, and it's a ditto. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I have some neighbors that they might have cut one time this season, and they have 2 goats in the backyard, and they think the goats is going to clean the yard up. So, and then also, on Greystone Circle, there's a couple of houses that they do not cut the grass until, well, you know, you should start in March or April cutting your grass. Well, they don't cut till June or July. Maybe one time during the summer, and that's about it. And then an old car is sitting in a yard that's been sitting there 2 years, and it needs to be moved. And this is on Greystone Circle.
All right.
And I appreciate your
We thank you
listening
for
to my
coming.
plea. So thank you.
Yeah. As I look at these pictures, I've got Mr. Stovall, I've looked at several of these. I know we've got letters sent to one. I'm not gonna name out, but Stonewall, they've got notices sent to them. The one behind you, I think they're already in the process of cleaning up, if I'm not, is that correct?
Yeah, they hauled, I've seen about 3 trailer loads slammed full.
Right.
Packed to the gills of junk.
Sure.
Come out the back there.
Sure.
So can I speak?
Yeah,
For a minute?
yeah, sure, come on, we'll add you to the,
Ms. Brody, I'm George Skoll.
Nice
I've
to
been
meet
trying
you,
to meet
sir.
with you for about 2 months.
Well, I've addressed the problem and sent you a letter. I can't charge the county for.
Well, I'm not, I'm just saying, I'm who I am, okay?
Right, nice to meet you,
I'm the
sir.
booger man. And I've been fighting this thing for 39 years. And I'm sick and tired of looking at junk automobiles, and I do not understand for the life of me why anybody wants to possess a doggone automobile and let it sit there and become a rat's nest and a snake infestation when Peacock's Auto Salvage out there has got a sign up right now saying we'll buy junk automobiles. I don't understand that. But the main thing I'd like to find out from you, being you're the county attorney, these codes say OCGA. I assume that stands for Official Code of Georgia.
Yes, sir.
All right, who put these into play? Did the Secretary of State's, is that where they come from?
Your legislatures.
Okay, then this is what we go by, these codes, right? Per Tiffany.
And the county ordinances, yes.
All right, now how do the county ordinances tie into what, does one overrule the other one?
State law is always going to override local law.
Because I have asked her, I said, Tiffany, says right here in black and white, no lot can have more than 4 junk, no more than 3 junk vehicles. He's got 4, but you won't do nothing about it. The man's got 4 cars on his lot and has had them there for 10 years. Stepped right there, that hall is his mother. She's got 3 on hers, plus a boat. And they're wrapped up in vines and this stuff, and it's been like that for 10 years.
Well,
That's the one you visited.
No, sir. The property that I visited, that there was an actual complaint made against.
Had the one with the tarpaulin over it.
Right, and had no additional junk vehicles, which was fully in compliance
You
with
didn't
our
go
code.
behind it. You didn't go behind it.
Sir,
Go
it's
There's-
what is visible from the road.
Okay, that's
very clear in our ordinance,
right.
and
all
I
right.
detailed that to you
It
in my
says
letter.
obscured from public view.
Exactly. Well,
Okay, does that mean if I can stand right here on Confederate Drive and I can look down that driveway, is that considered public view? And I see that junk car's been there for 10
well,
years?
sir, I was there, so I saw it from all of those
No, I'm
angles.
I'm talking about next door, 3728. Her son lives right next
There
door.
was not an active complaint about that.
Oh, yes, I've been dealing with Tiffany on it for years.
And she resolved your complaint in 2017. There was not an active complaint when I went out to look at the
Right,
next
you,
door
right,
property.
you looked at next door, her
But the
mother's property,
proper-
and I appreciate that.
And
The
Mr. Stovall, I
problem-
was with her also.
Right, I
accompanied
understand,
her on
but
this.
the property next door, 3728, is her son who's got 4 vehicles, and every time I've confronted Tiffany about it, she'll come up with something, well, I can't do nothing about that, blah, blah,
But there
blah.
was not an active complaint. You had not lodged a complaint, a current complaint with her when I went to the property to look. And we also cannot do anything. I know there's been perhaps issues where you've gone onto these properties
To rescue
see
their
what's
dogs, to rescue their
behind.
dogs.
This is, we can't trespass on property. None of us
Oh,
can.
you can rest assured, them dogs can hang themselves over that piece of fence he's got there from now on, and I won't step foot to go
But
up there.
what I'm saying is
I
if
won't
you
go- I'm not
observed
gonna-
something, sir, because you were on the property that cannot be seen from the road, the public cannot see it, then it satisfies our ordinances as long as it complies with
But
being
that-
out
that's
of
my
public
point.
view.
You can stand on Confederate Drive and look straight down his driveway and see that junk car. That's what I'm asking you. Is that considered public view? Is that-
If you can see it, but if that is the problem and it's in violation, then please lodge an active complaint, because your last complaint was in 2017, and Miss Tiffany investigated that, Miss Davis, and has closed that. Now, if there's another issue,
2017, that car's been sitting there, I know, for 10 years.
well,
Same
Miss
spot.
Davis is here today.
Okay, anyway,
There's only one, Mr. Stovall, you got to understand, you know, he could have 20 cars back there, but if we can't see but one from public view, that's all, I mean, we cannot go on that property and trespass to see what he's got in his backyard. But now, like
why
I,
not? That's what I don't understand.
because it's trespassing. Now,
Right.
if it's to fall.
So
of the
does
year-
that mean if I set me a liquor still up back there and I put posted signs all around, nobody can come on my property?
No,
You
that's-
can't get a deputy sheriff to go down there with
That's
us?
something a whole different, that's.
Well,
a-
that's not from public view if I'm trespassing and going behind his home to see what he's got back there.
I've assured you that in the fall of the year, I'd go back in there. And if we can go in there on that, it's on the road, which is the public, the legal public view, and see more than a legal amount of cars that are allowed, at that point, then we can cite them. But, Ms. Brody and myself and her, accompanied with her husband, met out there. All the addresses you had you give Miss Brody, the addresses you give me, we went and addressed, we looked at them. The two that were right down the road, side by side, I think mother and son,
Right,
there's
So-
something, there's something under a tarp, there's one.
That's right.
allowed. The other one, we had one vehicle we could see would look like an old black Thunderbird from back in the 90s. Those are the only two vehicles that were from public view. We can't go in there and trespass on the people's property, but it's public view. And that's what the ordinance states. Now, when we went to the other address that you inquired about on Stonewall, we did see an issue on that, and that was the
There
one.
were
right, all
issues
right.
there,
Now-
and those are being
now,
addressed.
That's what I wanted to sit down with you about. When the code says, all persons owning property or occupying premises of such property within areas of the county not zoned for or permitted for accumulation, such as a junkyard, storage, repair, or sales of junk motorized vehicles must keep such vehicle obscured from public view. No more than 3 junk motorized vehicles will be permitted per property parcel as designated by the most recent county tax maps filed in the tax assessor's office. So it says right there, he cannot have more than 3. He's got 4.
But
So
sir, you
why-
cannot see 3.
That-
If
that-
he's got 3, you cannot see him. All you can see is one.
That does not say being seen. It says no more than 3 vehicles can be on public property pertaining to the tax codes. Doesn't say whether they're visible or not.
Well, how would I know that they're back there unless I trespass on the man's property?
Well, if you did like I did, his dogs kept getting loose all the time, and I told Chris I got a chain right there that belongs to one of his dogs that I had to rescue and take his dogs back up there and get them unhung from bushes and all that kind of stuff, plus give them water because the animal control person came out there and cited him for not having rabies tags. The dogs used to come through my yard. They'd been there for 10 years and had never had a rabies shot. And time again, me and my wife had texted that girl, said, your dogs are loose, your dogs are loose, your dogs are loose. So I finally had me a belly full of it. And I called the code enforcement, the animal control person, and that's when he came out there and made a case against them. Then they wanted to blame me for trespassing. I'm not a trespasser, I'm not a lawbreaker. But I hate to see animals mistreated, and them dogs would be hung up in the bushes, dug under the fence, jumped over the fence on chains and wore the necks raw, and that kind of mess, and I got to sit and put up with that day in and day out.
Well, no, sir.
But I'm not gonna go- I'm not
It's
gonna
sort of
go
a
up there no
separate
more.
issue than what's here
Right,
tonight.
I'm not going up there no
But
more.
certainly the avenue to address that would be to contact animal
Right,
control
I
and have them
understand that, and I
initiate
have.
an investigation.
Mr. Stovall, bear with us. We're gonna do the very best to make sure everybody
Well, I
complies.
appreciate it, but what I want to sit with you is find out what is the legal standpoint? Can these things,
Here's the problem. The county is not going to pay for me to sit down and explain the law to all private citizens. I've sent you a letter detailing as best I can.
of that particular property?
Now, if they would like for me to do that, I'll be happy to, but at this point, you need to consult your own attorney to actually explain in detail the law to you. That's not something that the taxpayer should have to pay for me to do.
Well, see, all these years, and I've been in this county for 39 years, and I remember when this thing was passed by Al Andrews, Clay Washburn, and Burt Liston. That's how long ago it's been. But I remember them coming up saying, well, the car's all right if you move it to the back of the property. I said, that doesn't make sense because so many lots back up to one another. I don't want somebody's junk car back in my lot. And I knew then there were flaws in it, but I said, well, maybe at least, they're trying to get something done and trying to get something righted about it. And I didn't realize that this thing here was what the actual codes, was what we're supposed to be going by. Well, this does not say move it to the back of the property. It says obscured from public view. And that's what I wanted you to explain, being you're the county attorney. What does public view mean? Well, there's a description on here about public view.
Right.
Standing in a road, a waterway, or something like that. But I think too long she's been going out there negotiating with these people and say, well, it'll be all right if you move it over yonder. That ain't what the code says. Or it'll be all right if you move it back under this
Well,
old
we
thing.
could not even see the one that, I guess it's a vehicle, you don't know what's under the tarp.
I know it's a car.
But you could not even see what was the tarp unless you got to the very, very edge of the property as you were leaving. It fully complied with our
But
ordinances.
it does not say what did being allowed to put a tarpaulin over it. When did that come into
Mr.
effect?
Stovall, not trying to cut short, but if we could have a work session on this, because I know we need to go over a lot of this. We'd love to have you join us in a work session.
I'd love to be in it.
That way we can go up, we give ourselves plenty of time through a work session and,
Ms. Davis wants to be heard as well.
right, and we want everybody to be heard. So that work session gonna be an open session, just like this public meeting, that you can express your concerns. The board can sit there, we can go through minimum housing standards, because I know other counties, Bibb County's got, they've got different ordinances. We need to look at our surrounding
Okay,
county.
are you?
We'll be announced. Are you on our email list for our meetings?
I don't think so.
Each and everybody in here can get on the master email list, that you'll get all the copies of our agendas when we're having meetings, when work sessions. And I encourage you to do it, because there might be something down the road that doesn't even pertain to tonight that you might be interested in. And if you are on our email list, you can see our agenda for that meeting and show up. I tell you, we love to see this room packed, because we need the public coming forward to help us, to let us know when there's a problem. And without y'all letting us know, we're sitting up here in the blind, but this helps us make decisions on ordinances
I
and
appreciate it, and I
whatnot.
look forward to what you're talking
Absolutely.
about. I'll come
Sure.
hell or high water, I'll be there.
Well, but we appreciate each and every one of you.
Before he goes, to his point, I did want to bring this out. When it says obscured from public view, there's a period, so it stops. And then there's a brand-new sentence that goes no more than 3 junk. So it's 2 separate pieces. And to his point, if I'm a neighbor, I can see my neighbor's cars. If you go up Ruby Drive, anybody been up Ruby Drive
Yeah.
lately? Okay? Ruby Drive is insane. I like the little guy that fixes on lawnmowers, but how many lawnmowers are out there?
About 200.
About 200. So have we had a complaint, Tiffany?
That is not my department, sir. That is a business.
Zoning and planning. So, and then that's going to be another issue. So, do we have a right to file a complaint? If it's a business, should it be obscured from view? And then how many of those are allowed to be out on the property? But back to his point, no more than 3. If I'm a neighbor, I can see it. If I'm passing by, I can see these things.
Well,
If
if
I'm
you can
cutting grass.
see it, then that's considered public
Sure.
view. The problem is, when I was at these particular 2 properties, They are surrounded by woods on 3 sides except for the roadway, and you cannot see what is in
And
their
come-
backyard.
But remember,
And
that,
come
that's the
winter
period.
time, when the
That's-
leaves fall
and
off
then
the
it's a whole
trees, it's
new
gonna be
sentence of
visible
attorney
again.
address
Well, like I said, we're gonna have a work session.
All right.
I
But I mean,
invite every
nobody
one of
can
you
see it
back,
unless you're in
you know,
your backyard.
and we'll go through our ordinance and see what changes we need to have made.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Chris.
Thank you.
I wanted to put my eyes on this.
Any more comments?
Did somebody
Miss
else have a comment?
Davis.
Ms. Davis, we got somebody we missed?
Do we have anybody else signed in?
Oh, Miss Tiffany, come on.
Good evening, gentlemen, ladies. For the past 17 years, I've received complaints in the neighborhood of Confederate Acres, Rebel Drive area. Every complaint has been addressed and is handled according to the law. I cannot break the law to go after somebody. Individual things that may be a personal preference is not law. I cannot address that. If you are concerned because someone has toys in the yard, because they have a clothesline with on it, those are not county issues. Do I investigate everyone? Yes. Do I document everyone? I've spoken to Miss Ashley about this. I've probably had over 30 to 40 complaints in this one subdivision alone. A lot of them are not justified. If they are justified and there is an ordinance, I make sure it is taken care of.
Yep, thank you, Ms. Tiffany.
Yes, sir.
Comments? Uh-uh.
I'd like to meet next week. We have a large population of people that have very similar concerns, not just in South Jones. I think that extends across the county, so the faster we can get on it, the better. I like Bibb County's ordinance. It's pretty aggressive. Again, you and I both know that it's serious. It holds us as landlords accountable. I think the blight remediation policies even holds owners accountable, because if the county goes in and destroys or have to remove a piece of property, ultimately that property owner becomes liable for that debt. And I think we have a responsibility to our citizens to make sure that we do that. So I'd like to meet as soon as next week if we can.
What's everybody's schedules looking like?
I'm out of town Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay.
Thursday.
Commissioner Martin?
Work session only takes, what, 2 commissioners, right?
Right, but I mean, I'd love the input of, you know, the full board, because everybody's got great ideas.
Board meeting.
Sorry, what?
When's our next board meeting?
The first Tuesday in August, do we need more than an hour? It sounds like we might need more than an hour.
I think you could.
I'll be out of town that week, Chris.
Okay. Second meeting in August? Or is that gonna be budgets?
I mean, we may have some budget stuff to do, but I think it'd be fine.
We'll be all right?
Yeah.
So if we schedule think an hour gonna make it? We can have more than one work session, we can start if we need to have an additional. 'Cause you know, we need to have it, do it right, and I'd love the opportunity, and also give Jason and Tiffany maybe to pull some area counties to see. I know Bibb County's pretty strict. I mean, if a car in the yard, it's gonna have it's gonna have a license on it. You just don't, you know, my renters, I can't tell you how many times my tenants have had cars. I've gotten notices on rental properties that somebody's got a car there that's been sitting there, that's flat tire or whatever, don't have a tag on it. So, I mean, there's something we need to, obviously, we need to look at. And, so if we can do it the second, so we can have a full crowd, second, meeting in August, do an hour before, and if we need an additional,
On the
we can,
20th?
we can have an additional work session.
20th.
Was it the 20th?
16? Oh, sorry, wrong calendar.
Did you say wrong county?
Yeah. The 20th?
What we do before we got iPhones?
20th.
That's our second meeting.
Second meeting.
That's the second meeting. Okay. 5 o'clock work session, August 20th? August 20th, that'll be the third Tuesday in.
It's our second meeting. It's our second meeting.
Second
Third
meeting in
Tuesday, I'm sorry.
August. You said you wouldn't be able to make the first one because you'd be out of town.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to zero on what day.
The 20th.
August the 20th at 5 o'clock will be
5
our
o'clock.
work session.
August 20th, 5 o'clock here.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And if it takes additional work sessions, we'll do it, but this is obviously something we need to look at strongly. We can get ideas from area counties and see what they're working on. And, because there is a problem and we need to address it. All
Appreciate it.
right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, then we're gonna table this one and, bring it back up on the 20th? Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Kitchens, we're gonna back up. We went by Liberty Park lease and leash pets in Passive Park, which were both yours, correct?
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Liberty Park lease was just information only. There was some question about whether we own that park or we lease that park, and after investigation, we've got an initial 20-year lease, and then we have 30 one-year leases that are automatic leases. So in essence, we have a 50-year lease on the park, and talking to the Water Authority, they basically assured us we didn't have any fear. As long as we wanted a park there, there would be a park. So we're good with that one.
That's great.
So Liberty Park's not going anywhere. Second part, I don't know if Matt's here. I've had several requests, and really, you know, we promote, I'm going to back up. They promote in Macon Bibb in their Parks Department who have dogs, leashed animals in their parks. It's a way to get more people to enjoy our parks, maybe to get the animals out. Our passive parks, we have one rule that fits everything, and it's no pets. I just feel like in our passive parks, I understand not at Highway 18 or 49 at the ballparks, because we actually, in essence, lease those to other programs, and we can't control, you know, what activities are going on. But our passive parks, I'd like to see us allow leashed animals in these parks.
Any questions for Commissioner Kitchen?
So for the general public, so they understand what our passive parks are, other than the dog park out here, what's the other passive one?
Liberty Park and
Park Haddock.
Okay.
I would ask that we do put up some type of station, so if a dog does have some waste, that, you know, they can clean
Right.
up their waste. So I'm all in favor of the leash law. Well,
Right, and to add to that, I've talked to several people that are willing to adopt our parks and put up the pet waste station, which has the bags and the little trash receptacle. So it's what they do in Macon Bibb and a lot of them, so that not so responsible pet owners that don't bring their own bags with them will have a place.
All right, well, would you like to make a
And
motion?
I know our assistant chairman would appreciate being able to.
Yeah, Buddy, he has a Walmart bag tied to his leash everywhere we go.
Yeah, he would appreciate it. So, yeah, you need a motion?
I need a motion.
Chairman, I make a motion that we allow leased pets in our passive parks in Jones County.
I have a motion, I have a second.
second.
Second. Any more discussion? If none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Thank you. All right, let's go back to number 6, Shady Road Plaza. Mr. Martin?
Yes, Mr. Chair, was visiting Jason a week or so ago with regard to some other issues, and we talked a little bit about Shady Road, because I have been getting more calls about that. He told me that the petition part, the signatures had returned, and now the next step is to do the survey, and so wanted to motion that we do the survey.
All right, I have a motion to the survey on
Shady Road. Second.
second. Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, thank you. Number 7, award bid, light and tie booster pump station improvements. Y'all gonna double team this one tonight?
Yeah, this one got a little complicated on us. In front of y'all, have a letter outlining. Now, I'll go through it, try to be briefly. June 28th, we opened bids for the light tie booster station rehab. 2 bidders, Sam Hall and Sons at $372,155. All South was at $376,150. There was 2 alternates that we bid. Alternate 14 was to operate a bypass pump to be in place of light and tie while the work was being done. Alternate 15 was actually to buy that pump so we would have it at other stations. The cost was just too great, so we recommended that we used the addition of bid item 14. One of the other items we looked at was the county has an unused 200 kW generator. We were gonna rearrange generators with Henderson, put the 200 there, take Henderson's to Light and Tie. But in looking at doing all that, we were saving about $6,000. And instead of putting a 1994 military surplus generator, which we have one and it runs great, we're recommending that we stick with item number 9, which is a brand new generator. The cost differential was $6 grand when we looked at it.
That would leave us with one spare still, right?
Yes, yes. And we bid the new one because getting the belly tank for that generator, it's gonna take us about 20 weeks. And so we started running into conflicts with rehabbing Light and Tie, making sure Henderson had a plan and being able to get the project all together, tie it all up. The last item we're looking at on the top of the second page is reviewing cost savings from going from an 18 pulse VFD drive to a 6 pulse VFD. We're expecting savings will be $15,000 or $20,000, but we don't know yet. They're in the process of doing a harmonic distortion survey, and once we get those results, we'll have an idea if we can go to the 6 pulse VFD. So we're asking the board tonight to award the Light and Tie rehab to All South Constructors, $385,650. There's approximately $340,000 in 2015 SPLOST funds, and the other $45,650 would come out of the new construction account.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion or questions from Mr. Ingram? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Ayes have it. Thank you.
Oh, how long before we get started and finished?
Pumps about 12, 14 weeks.
Okay.
Generators about 14 weeks.
And
So
based,
we're looking at
Christmas. And based on our current demand, we're gonna be okay?
Yes, we're actually having to baby this plant as it is, especially with the heat. It pops the breaker because there's a differential between the amps and the box. So it's a matter of just letting it cool down and resetting it. But so far we've been able to do it. But this is a much needed upgrade. It really is. So
good. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
thank you.
I have to be babied with this heat too.
You had to be baby with this heat too.
Yes.
All right. I like that. You have to be baby with this heat too. You know. We know yours is a little girl. He hadn't had a reveal party.
Yeah.
All right. Award bids for the water treatment chemicals. Mr. Resner?
I can start off and then hand it off to Jeffrey. There were a number of items earlier on this year that the board expressed an interest in going out to bid on, basically on-demand type things where we don't obligate ourselves to buy any specific quantity, but we did provide bidders with information about the quantities that we've traditionally used. And so one of those things was water treatment chemicals. We went out to bid there. We got 2 bids. The one bid was from American Development Corporation. They bid on all the chemicals that we typically buy. The second bidder only bid on the Aquamag product that we use. And that second bidder's price on the Aquamag was much higher than American Development Corporation. And so I think our recommendation for you tonight would be to award the bid to American Development Corporation.
Yes.
Oh, you
They've
heard-
been our vendor since 2003.
That's
and,
great.
They supply an excellent service. I mean, not only do they supply chemicals, they supply parts for chemical pumps. He'll come out and do a survey of your plant if you have an issue with chemical delivery. So, I mean, I've been more than pleased with them. And
That's
to
great.
be honest with you, I'm glad.
Glad they were able to come in, but
Yeah.
but this keeps us in compliance with our
Yes.
purchasing program and policies. That way that everything we've got's being done properly.
And your pricing will be locked in for a year, and there was language in the bid document that basically said, I think it's 45 days before the end of that 1 year period, they have to let us know if there's going to be a change in the price there. At that time, staff and the board can review that information, and then y'all make a determination if you want to continue on with whatever price adjustment, or they may say the prices would stay the same, or you could opt at that time to rebid. So there's an option for 2 additional one-year periods, but it's entirely up to you guys. And
With the option on the 2 years, is that automatic if the price don't change, or do we need to vote on it every option?
let me look back and see how I wrote that.
Normally, it would, if the price is gonna stay the same, then we can just automatically 2-year options, which would be, gives them some incentive to know that they've got a contract for 3 years and gives us a benefit of holding prices for 3 years straight.
I'll look back and let you know.
I need a motion to. You got it?
Oh, I was gonna wait for some discussion.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah. Well, my concern, Jeffrey, is we only have one response. And my concerns are that Macon Water Authority, Houston County, Baldwin County probably use very similar chemicals. And at the very least, I'd love to at least got a phone call to them and say, hey, what are you guys kind of paying, to give us an idea? Because right now, I still don't know what true costs are. And I just plugged in sodium hydrochloride, 12.5, which is bleach. And at Walmart, it was $2.65 per unit, 30 cents cheaper.
But that bleach there is not 12.
I know it's not the same, but that's just my point. Like, and I don't know, can we call Henderson Chemical or some other place and just ask?
Sure.
But I know we can call Macon Water Authority, Houston County, and Baldwin County, and kind of ask. So I'm not comfortable with just one bid because we don't have enough information. So, and I would ask in the future, let's use our regional partners to find out. You know, why not?
Sure.
Where is American Development at? Are they local or they?
No, they're out of Tennessee.
There was one in Macon, Kim Aqua.
Kim Aqua, right?
Kim
Yeah.
Aqua, yeah.
Because they said they've done some work with the county at one
Waterville
time.
Road.
Yeah,
they were-
they've supplied some of the chemicals in Haddock over the years.
I'm not bad,
Smaller.
probably. I wonder why they didn't bid then.
Some of the companies that have called me were more geared for larger deliveries, more
Yeah.
bulk items, which we don't have an area to store a lot of that. And so that kind of took them out of the equation.
What, do you need to have this approved now?
Well,
I mean, if it can wait till the next
next
meeting,
meeting.
that would give us the time to make some phone calls and see if it's worth going back out to bid, or, you know, since it was a sealed bid, or at least do some homework on it and see, you know, why we only got one bid out of Tennessee. I mean, I know they've been good to us, but.
now I know like Macon Water Authority, and I think Houston County, they use chlorine gas, so that's a little bit different than what we use. We use liquid. So there's going to be a price differential there.
Maybe Baldwin, anything from them?
Yeah, I could try Baldwin.
And just get, come back with us, and, I mean, we might be right there in the ballpark
Okay.
with everybody
No
else.
problem.
But I'm sure there are volumes, it's, if you can get a tanker trailer load versus a 55-gallon drum, I'm sure
Yeah.
you can get a
Our
substantial
largest
break.
tank that we have is 200 gallons, and for one product. So
Yeah,
that
we
kind
don't
of,
have a big system that.
yeah, you have to have
see that,
they're looking
so.
for a large
But
system.
I think just going through this process is gonna save us money by getting, known quantities and known prices stationary for a year
I
at a
think-
minimum, so.
Excuse me, I think what took some of these, when they called me and asked for questions, the American Development, what they do outside of just chemical delivery kind of took the others out of the equation. They supply parts. They come down and do surveys on my plants to check for the chemical deliveries. I mean, they do a lot where I think it just took them out of the equation. So.
Yeah, and I mean, if all of that was a part of the bid, I'd be okay with that. If it was just a chemical bid, then I'm just looking purely at per
Right.
unit pricing. And if I had known, hey, I can just bid on this one item, somebody else might have the caustic soda a bit cheaper. Then I would assume that the average pool supply company, gets at least 2 or 3 of those, probably 3 or 4 of those, at a better price than what we're probably being quoted. Just my opinion. But obviously they're buying bigger quantities. At the very least, Macon Bibb, Houston County, if we could buy it from them, because they're probably buying it at such quantities, we're getting a greater deal. I'd rather use that as an option, but at least know where I stand. So,
Okay.
we can table this bid
Sure.
for the next meeting, and then we will, that way we have a little bit more information, and like I said, you might come back to us and say that we are right there with
Okay.
our neighbor.
No problem.
It never hurts to check.
Oh, yeah.
And if it's a full-service bid
your
thing,
question.
getting all the extra stuff,
Not
then
about
that's
that.
different, you know.
All right.
No, I don't have a question. Jeff, I have a question about the next item that's on the agenda.
Okay. All right. All
right.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to ask, Mr. Chairman, do you mind if we do 10 before we do 9?
Yeah.
Just something to take into consideration as we go out for bid for the pump truck?
Sure.
Okay, just to ask.
Commissioner Pitts asked if we could go forward with item 10 over 9. I see no problem with that. Partnership with the City of Gray on a ladder truck. Mr. Graham, I'm going to turn the floor over to you because you're 9 and 10.
All right.
Sure.
Thank you. It's been probably approximately a week ago, I was approached by Chief Isley from the City of Gray Fire Department. He advised me, first and foremost, that his ladder truck, was actually, he was having problems with it. There was a certain cylinder that makes the whole mechanism work of the ladder, and it's out of service at this time. He asked me, Keith asked me if would we entertain possibly going in, partnership in a purchase of a ladder truck. What the chief had in mind is a used vehicle, not a new vehicle. New ladder truck is $1 million these days. The truck that he was talking about was a 7-year-old, was 2012 Pierce ladder, 105-footer. It was tandem, big engine, nice automatic, the whole 9 yards. It's a very, very nice rig that came out of Chicago. It was on a lease purchase program deal, and actually they turned it back in. But from the looks of the pictures, I haven't looked at it other than the pictures. The pictures are, it's beautiful. At this very time, with the answer that I gave the chief is what we have before us is we've got an engine company that is down as we speak. We don't know as yet as what the engine's going to cost it's totaled out. We know that for certain. But from where we're sitting, I don't know where the money would come from to venture a partnership with the new truck. Could we use it? Absolutely yes. Would it be vital to the county and the city? Absolutely yes. Do I want a partnership in this? Yes, I do. But first comes first is our people on the south side, and we need to get up to speed and get that taken care of first. But I think if we're looking at another vote in Splosh later on down the road, that may be the venture we can earmark or tab or however you say it, is we could possibly do something like that. We already have a mutual aid agreement, intergovernment, and we exercise that very well. They assist us, and we assist them. They were very vital the day on July the 2nd when we had the house fire, and then we had our engine company that was had a head-on collision on 49. I asked immediately for mutual aid from the city, and they responded immediately. So see, it works. We didn't have, all hands were on deck at the accident, but not so many people at the house fire, which was both in relations, as we've read and found out. But our plan in the future for Gray and the county is I think that it's very good, and I would be happy and be gladful to go in and try to help them get a truck company. It would be very much. I just don't know where and what I would do right now before I got my engine company straightened out. Our newest truck now, wagon, which is our first new engines, the newest thing I've got out there right now is 23 years old. Not that they're not functioning okay, they're doing okay, but what's going to happen tomorrow? We're already seeing a ill turn in our rescue units. We're running 2,000 rescue calls a year. And I've got an idea for the budget on that to see how we can resolve that. But I think first is first, and the right thing is the right thing to do. The right thing to do right now is to save our engine, and then we've got something to work with in the future for the truck company and help the city. I'd love to help them.
So my first question is, if our truck has been in an accident, thinking like a car, right? I get a check to replace my engine.
Yes, sir.
And I assume ACCG participates in that. Do we
Yes,
have a
sir.
check yet? Are we waiting on a check?
Waiting on a check.
All right, so we know we're going to have a check for that and get a new vehicle?
We don't know if it's going to be new or not. We don't know how it's going to be. It's a 2012
Right.
with 30-some thousand miles on it, and I'm not sure whether it's going to be a new vehicle or what and how.
Well, based on the fact that it's $1 million, we know it won't be new.
Right.
Okay. So that's just, to me, that's a separate issue. If Gray right now does not have a ladder truck, and again, I don't know fires in Gray, I don't know if every fire needs a ladder or not, that seems important to me. If that's the truck, is that the only truck with a ladder?
Yes.
So right now, they don't have a ladder
Now, we
truck.
carry ladders on every unit that we have,
Right,
not a bigger ladder.
right. So do we typically encounter fires that require us to have a ladder truck?
Not typically.
Okay, that's why there's no
Yes,
sense of
sir.
urgency.
Not typically.
All right, because to me, a fire is
We've
serious.
never had one, so it's always been the city of Gray to back us up on it, if one needed.
Does that affect our ISO rating at all?
Will not affect ours, but it will certainly affect the city.
Which
When they
still
get to, did the 50-foot count this go round?
No, 50 foot does not count for the ISO.
Okay. The 50-footer that they have now doesn't count for any points as far as ladder truck. Once there's if he gets the 105 stick ladder, he will receive points which will move him down the ladder.
Gotcha. And
In the
ultimately-
good way.
Right, and ultimately potentially saving Gray residents on
Absolutely. I
insurances.
live in the city.
Okay, that's all I need to know. I'm good.
And the reason I asked, Chairman, I didn't know if there was a possible partnership when it comes to the ladder truck they're having problems with. Could we use that ladder truck to kind of replace what we currently, since we're out of a truck? I didn't know if that was an option. And I understand it's going to be something down the road.
No, we need at least 1,000 gallons and 1,250 gallons per minute, at least.
And what does that one have?
500 gallons? It's got a 1250 on it?
Okay, so it won't be
Okay.
a need there.
It's been tagged because it's.
Okay, because of the ladder. Okay.
How old is that?
1991.
91 model.
It's been tagged out though, so they can't use it.
Right. It won't pass.
Okay.
And is partnership 50-50, so I understand?
I don't know. We didn't talk about the 50-50. But partnership, yes.
Okay. I don't live in Gray, but I see the value of having a fire truck in Gray, so it makes sense to me.
I see having a fire truck every 5 miles.
I'm with you.
Commissioner Kitchen?
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again, my personal opinion is, I know it's tough with a sheriff and a police department, but, you know, our fires, our first responders, even our recreation departments, I mean, they don't know any boundaries. If there's a fire, nobody on any department thinks about where that house is or whether they think about saving lives, saving property, and getting there as quick as they can.
Amen.
we put those limitations on the rescuers when they see the need, they go. Most of them that hear it over the radio, they're waiting when you say, we need you, whether it's city, county, whatever. So in that respect, I think that's a true partnership that is vital to our community, not Gray or the county. So I think that's something we got to start doing. The money issue is tough because, we would have to find where to get that kind of money for and I hate to say a limited use, but I mean, we all know, just being point blank, it would probably be used in the city more than it would in the county. But the need is still there, whether it's, one block inside the city or one block outside the city in the county, that need is still there when it's there. So it's still as dire and still as mercy. We've talked about this before, about the GMAC lease pool, if that's an option. I didn't know with fire trucks being a specialty, I don't know if Macon Bibb, goes on the lease pool with that. I thought they bought them outright, but I know they've started doing them with sheriff's cars. I know we can do them with heavy equipment. If that's something that is eligible with a lease pool, then I would say we combine our resources, meaning city and county funding, to pay a monthly lease. And I'm hearing you say you got your newest truck is 23 years old.
Yes, sir.
I know they last a lot longer than our vehicles, but anybody in here that's got a 23-year-old vehicle, you wouldn't put your grandkids in it and go, let's go to Florida.
It's loose.
You think about that kind of stuff. So, and I feel the same way about residents that have a fire or a medical emergency or whatever when they call. Whenever I've had one, I didn't want y'all a second later than you got there, no matter the cost. So I'm just throwing my 2 cents worth in there that I think we need to find a way to partner and make it happen.
Sam, I'd be willing to support a motion where it's a mutual lease. So if we can find that out of the lease pool, much like the truck from Chicago that we're actually potentially acquiring, if you're willing to motion that, I'll second that happily.
But do you want to wait for the city? This is a city project.
We're throwing that out there, so when they go to their meeting, they can do whatever they need to do. I'm just saying, we're
You want to
ready.
invite?
Will the lease, talk about the lease on
So
the used
what we're
vehicle.
looking right now, the current aerial that we have is 1991 Pierce. We've had major issues with it the past 24 months. The past 12 months has been out of service 10 out of the 12 months due to not passing inspections and different issues with hydraulic system for the aerial. So with it being such of an age, NFPA recommends us replace it every 25 years. Now, we're looking at a used apparatus versus a new one because we're going to save about $600,000 on that venture. The one we're looking at, it was used right outside of Chicago. They're on a lease program. They turn them back in every 7 years. So it is a very good apparatus. It's spec'd very well, and it would benefit the city along with the county. For the ISO portion of it, we would get 100% ISO credit, which is 4 out of 4 points for a aerial unit. Currently, what we have, we only get 0.93 credit for that. It would also benefit the county with an aerial because it's closer than what Macon Bibbs is. So they would get a partial credit for that, being it's inside the county and accessible under the mutual aid agreement. We're on the partnership. Pretty much what I'm asking for is just some kind of designation of funds or something to assist with it, not necessarily a 50 or 75% or anything like that, something that would assist with it, because it's a very, very good need that the city needs along with all the citizens. Now, most of the businesses and the residences we have in the city, the aerial that we have now is not capable of getting above the residence where it needs to be operated correctly. Versus the 105-foot, we could sit it in the road and operate it correctly as it was intended to be used.
So you're talking about leasing this ladder truck on a monthly basis?
Correct. It would be under one of the GMA agreements.
They do used vehicles?
Yes.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah. I didn't either, but I think that's a good program. We need to look in on some other equipment too, and the more you lease, the better your deal you get. So
What numbers, I mean, just curiosity, what numbers are we looking at right now on y'all's monthly lease? If you've got any?
I'm waiting on all the numbers to come back. Total price of the unit is just below 560.
Below 560?
Yes, it's right at 560 versus new, you're looking between
Thank y'all for
1.1
coming.
and 1.4 million.
Thank you.
Chairman, I don't know that we don't have anything in front of us to vote on tonight, but I would at least ask that we give direction to the county administrator to discuss it, negotiate it, come back with a partnership that we can vote on.
And
I'm all for it.
and add it to our budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's perfect time to.
Yeah. I mean, I take all things into account, you know, how much usage we would get in the county. So when we start looking at the details of it, that's when it is at 50-50, 75-25. But the intent is that we enter into that partnership because I think that the city and the county owes that to the residents to put that safety and security out there.
All right, well,
So you can make the motion in your direction then?
you have a motion?
I don't know if it's a motion or just to ask Jason to bring something back.
I think you just
And then we
direct
vote-
him.
Yeah, just direct
Then we
him to bring
vote on
something
that.
back and we'll
that
put it on our,
partnership agreement.
and,
And the main thing
Just
with
an
this
MOA or
unit
something.
that we're looking at, there's 3 other agencies currently looking at it, so it's a
Time of essence.
time frame matter with that. So any questions I can help y'all with, just let me know.
Call Jason tomorrow then.
we'll,
Call him at 6:15 in the morning. He enjoys that.
So
he ain't got nothing to do.
It's his best time.
Yep.
my last question, is the truck operational right now?
Yes,
Okay.
it is 100% operational. Everything has been inspected and certified on it already through various different certifying agencies. So like your aerial, your pump, and your engine is all
Gotcha.
through different
Okay.
You
agencies.
got any warranties?
Yes, it still has a few manufacturer warranties on it, along with some third party.
Usually the Allisons are 10 years, that kind of thing.
Just curious what went on. All right.
Other than the cost of whatever y'all designate to it, of course, there wouldn't be no maintenance, operations, anything like that. We would still take care of everything as normal.
Is that in the lease or is it?
No,
No,
I'm
the
talking
city's
about
gonna
for
take
like
care of it.
ongoing year to year. We would still operate, maintain everything as we do now with everything.
They ain't got any numbers
Lease
for it yet.
period includes
So
maintenance.
They did?
if our next meeting would be enough time to, we'll put it on our agenda and maybe we'll have time to get some numbers together.
So would the
Maybe
city
we-
have the numbers though, by that time?
Yes, I should have that within the next 72 hours or so.
Good.
And hopefully we got numbers on what it's gonna cost us to replace the total out engine, plus, we've got 2 other trucks that are limping along too that will have to be added to our budget. Ms. Graham found a more economic way to replace, it looks like, that we can
I do.
easily do it, not spend, have to bite the bullet as much as they have in the past.
So while he's looking, I don't know if you can get a group discount on your leasing. I mean, theoretically, if we're approaching them for 3,
You can see what's out there.
Let's see what's out there.
I have one other question, Chairman. That's
Sure.
just semantics, I guess. We went from a 54 and we're going to 105.
Correct. The one we have now is a 50-foot
Right.
Pierce. It's pretty much a mini aerial SA. But like I said, probably 80 to 90% of the structures that we have in the city, the 50-foot is not capable of reaching and operating as it's designed. So when we have a fire and we utilize our aerial unit, it's because we cannot go interior on the fire. It's too involved to do so. Deck guns are not being utilized, so it's not effectively being put out. So at that point, we raise the aerial, we get above the fire, and we pretty much drown it at that point. And you can have fire out within a few minutes versus using hand lines for 30, 45 minutes or so on that.
My question was more on the housing side. I've built 8 fire stations.
Correct.
And if we had a ladder truck,
It
it
won't
was
fit
built
in a fire
differently
station.
than just a bumper truck. So
Right.
will the current building you got fit 100?
From the measurements that we've got from the manufacturer and the designs that I gave you, it
Yeah.
does fit in the station with the
Okay.
current doors that's on it. We are planning to go up next week and look at it and put hands on the apparatus to make sure everything is as it looks in the pictures, everything performs well, and everything is certified on it.
Good question.
Very well.
Park that baby outside.
Mayor, what's your thoughts on it?
Oh, you know my thoughts, Mr. Commissioner.
But anybody that give him some money, he's all for it.
The plans call for it to be housed at, we've got the place to house it. Also, we'll take care of the day-to-day operation, you know, PMs and stuff like that, because we got a ladder truck now that's in the budget to maintain. So basically, we'll just be swapping vehicles. We'll still have the budget. We're not gonna come knocking on Don's doors, hey Don, need 2 quarts of oil, you know what I'm saying? It's in the budget, we'll take care of that. I couldn't tell if y'all had discussed that part of it or not, but it's the plans are now, the city will take care of the day-to-day operations, but what needs to be done. Because like I said, we do have a truck now that we are maintaining to the best of our ability. This is just gonna be an upgrade, and like I say, Chief Austin's doing a great job, and like I said, we will be, you know, that part of it, just, I know it's a minor part, but still, it's something that has to be done, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's our plans. I've talked with the chief and about this from the get-go, and suggested he talk to Don, you know what I mean, see if it gives me a good opportunity. Because we both gonna need it. The new high school now, you know, with the new addition, it's on up there now, not like it used to be, so that's in the county, so it'll be a great help. Some of these plans I know in the works for some other buildings gonna be a little bit taller than a 1-story house. It's gonna be around for us to have to go to. But I just want to mention the part about the, you know, the day-to-day, you know, expensive, you know, that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as you know how I feel about it, that's getting along and getting us a truck together. That's like you and your big brother. You know, you buy it, I'll put the gas in it, and not gonna be quite that bad.
Appreciation for accounting and things like that, with it being a split asset.
If it's leased, it's not an issue, or as much of an issue.
How about insurance on it?
We would still maintain, operate, everything on it. It would, pretty much y'all would just designate a certain amount of funds for it.
I think that would have to be some kind of mutual agreement, memorandum agreement or something.
Well,
Intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah.
Sounds great. Like I said, we can get our next meeting, we'll have some numbers together, and we'll know more then about agenda item number 9 as far as.
The right thing to do is the right thing to do.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
We got our mayor pro tem here too, a couple more, we'd have a quorum from the city, want to talk about it, won't we? We could all vote on it tonight.
You want to come
All
up?
right, we're going back. Advertise for pump truck to replace the recently one wreck.
I think everybody knows it by now. July the 2nd, we was involved in a head-on collision. First and foremost, firefighter Stephen Jones is doing fine. Spoke with him today. I've spoken to him every day since the accident and since he's been out of the hospital. He's got several stitches in places, even on the rear, but he's doing fine. He's psychological. He's intact. This was a bad accident, y'all. It probably affected my career of 41 years and thank God Jason was on the horn, because I needed some assistance from me, just somebody to hold my hand. We could handle it, and it was fine. There was no problem on that end. We took care of it, but it was awful good to have my boss right there with me. So he saw it. He was on the scene, and he was there within 5 minutes or so. So thank you, Jason. As far as advertising for the pumper right now, I would think that we are not ready at this moment. I do have a spec already ready to go. We have filed through ACCG. ACCG has contacted us back. The other party, the unfortunate party, had insurance too. They're getting together with one another and going to come out with an outcome. Without knowing what's ahead, whether it's going to be new, whether it's going to be what, I think that it would be foolish at this point to go out for bid for something that we don't know Whether it's going to cost 400,000, 500,000, 300,000, we just don't know. And how much these units depreciate. Like I said, it's 2012. It was the newest we had, with 30 some odd thousand miles on it, but it was destroyed.
But in the meantime, like I said, you got lease options you can look into.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
You can go and start your homework. We just don't want to, reason we wanted it on the agenda, so we didn't want to hold you up because you got to.
Right. I've got a reserve engine that I put together with a older unit that we have, and we've got it out at Station 11. So we pulled 11 back into town as our first line pumper there. So we'll wing it, and we'll make it, and we'll make it good.
Any more questions for Mr. Graham?
No. Thank you for moving things around, making it all happen, and
Yes, sir.
keeping us safe.
Thank you. All right, we move on tonight to old business. Alternative fiscal agent for the Middle Georgia Consortium. I think that was your agenda item.
That was previously. I thought we were waiting to see what was going to happen.
Well, I don't know if y'all got the email, but our finance does not feel like they're capable.
She said no.
And Chairman, I found a little bit more information. I made several phone calls, and I'm waiting on some answers from from the legislatures on what we can legally do. It seems like we District 8 or District 9, do you know?
8.
8, okay. So we're District 8, Macon Bibb is District 9. So when it was created 10 years ago, the Middle Georgia Consortium was created. Macon Bibb decided to use a different fiscal agent than all the other 10 counties together. So there's 2 fiscal agents currently, one for 10 counties, one for 1 county. They're based on the regions that they're in. According to the research they've done, if you're in a contiguous county, you can pull out of one region and go into another region. Here's how it has to happen. The chairman has to send a letter to the state asking to resign from one region, and then you have to send a letter to the region that you want to go into and ask for them to approve to accept you into that one, which changes all the terms of the agreements of how much money is for the cost for admin fees and this and that. And unfortunately, both of our fiscal agents run programs totally different than each other. So it's not a simple task. The recommendation that I was given was to wait and see, because that apple cart was a lot more complicated than the apple cart we wait and see if it turns over. So to wait and see what happens, that there's such a difference between service delivery strategies and the Middle Georgia Consortium, which was designed by legislature. For that to fall would take a lot of other things to fall first. We were commended for thinking the way Commissioner Martin was thinking, to be ready in case something happens. But the process to do something without something happening takes a lot longer than waiting on it to happen, I guess. So I think we kind of had a mandatory wait and see, I think. And from my research, I kind of agree that our finance people go, oh, not no, but heck no.
I do appreciate y'all staying on this. Like I said, we're blessed with a board of many talents and abilities, and have this brought up and you able to do the research on it too and find this out through your connections is a great asset. Like I said, working together is great.
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see what happens with apples.
Well, you can take it off of our line of business because we know locally we're not going to do it.
Okay.
So I'm good.
I know finance department is jumping
Yeah.
for Georgia.
Emphatically.
All right.
Unequivocally.
Department head. Mr. Pepper, you want to start tonight?
Appreciate all your support, and I think to talk about leasing options, I think would be something that piques my interest as we're going into the budget season, whether to purchase or to lease.
I like lease with the maintenance program because this new technology and these equipment's just above any of our, know-how. Mr. Graham?
Ditto. Thank you.
The only thing that I wasn't, the lease program will be fine, and the maintenance will be fine if we go that route, especially with our pumpers. I like volume. But what concerns me, and I really want to get my hands into it now that you guys have kind of given me a nod to do, is how it works and how much mileage we can put on it, and, you know, that kind of thing, the do's and don'ts, the pros and cons, and that kind of thing. So that's giving me a light to even not going out for bid for that truck right now. You know, it may be something out there that, you know, we don't have to, well, we do have to hurry, but I think that rushing things, we may miss something.
Sure.
So.
Thank you. Mr. Risner?
The only thing I'll mention quickly is that we're, the budget process is in full swing, and we've gotten all the submissions from the department heads, and we're busy now inputting all those numbers to kind of see where we stand, and we'll be meeting next week with department heads to kind of review their requests. Levita and I will, and then shortly after that, we'll want to start having sessions with the board to review all that. So we're also wrapping up a projection of the current fiscal year, and I need to review those numbers with Levita, but I think we're finishing up the year in good shape, and so we look forward to getting the budget done for next year over the next month and a half.
We also have LMIG we have to think about also.
That's right. We just received our notification from GDOT on the coming year's LMIG. We'll get about $703,000 from the state, and then we add our matching portion, so it'll be about $915,000 total, I think, in LMIG that we'll have available next year.
Can I ask about, go ahead, excuse me, Chairman, no.
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, like, when it comes to community development block grants, are we eligible for any of those? I know we had this Sun Valley project going on that was part of a community development block grant. Are we farther along so that we can apply for another one, or we gotta make more progress there?
Let me check on that. There's a certain percentage you have to be complete, and I can't remember if it's 50% or 90% or what the standard is before you can apply for a new one, but we should be getting close, whatever that number is.
And as we look at LMIG, you know, Commissioner Martin brought up the Shady Road. I think we need to get with the Board of Education too to make sure, you know, because we've got some dirt roads out there we might want to consider paving. It'd been great if we had T-Splock, but we don't. But, you know, as we get calls throughout the year, we're not on different roads, that get with the Board of Education and just see what they would put priority on for the school travel. Because, you know, with the new schools and everything, I can think of Chee-Haw Trail is a heavily traveled because of the new school on 18. But I think we need to get with Chuck Gibson and them and let them give us a heads up of just possibly what, you know, we might be something we might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
But, all right, very well. Miss Tiffany, I don't know if you were leaning over to hide from me a while ago, but you were hiding. You got anything tonight? At one point, you were leaning like this, like he's not gonna, maybe he won't see me. We do want to thank you because everything you do, and I know what you've gone through here lately, and you know, with all the concern with the neighborhoods, and it's not the easiest when you have, as we witnessed tonight, a lot of passion in their neighborhood, and rightfully so, because when you ride through there and you see it, but you know, we do thank you.
No problem. I'm here to help the public. I'm here about the landfill real quick. I've already discussed this with Mr. Risner. We have 2 wells at our landfill, it's not drinking water, groundwater wells that we are now having problems and they need to be re-drilled. We have already spoken with AEM, which handles all of our services, our inspections, our sampling, our methane reports, groundwater reports. And I've already got the numbers in for it. For the physical replacement of the 2 wells, it's going to be about $4,400 a piece. The other billing part will be through AEM, as we already have a contract with them. but we have these two that we do not have an option. We've been very fortunate. We closed, I think, in 95 and 96, and there's very few extra wells that we have had to re-drill, but these are required. We're not going to have an issue. Hopefully with these after we get it done. We've got a turbidity issue right now. So with those two, that should take care of that. Hopefully, if y'all remember, we got a reimbursement check from EPD for $119,000 a year or so ago. Hopefully that money can help offset this. And hopefully, knock on wood, if there is still funding in the next few years when we resubmit again, part of this can possibly be reimbursed back to us as well. So, we will have an issue coming up with Cobalt, but that'll be a little bit later date that I will inform y'all on. But these are the two right now that we need to address immediately. Okay?
Hey,
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Anybody else on this? Well, Ms. Margie, this is your last meeting? Last one?
Come just a couple more.
She got
You
to
might
tell-
have to.
How many called meetings can we have, special call meetings?
She got to tell me just before the meeting, she started telling me that the first day she started and how it started and what she had to do and what she had to learn, and you're gonna be greatly, missed. Like I said, you can stick around, if you change your mind, but we're proud for you, happy for you. Like I said, this is part of everybody's life. We look forward to the day we retire and kick back and enjoy our hard work. And but congratulations. Oh. You got anything? You're good? Our baby girl's doing good?
She's good. I might pop before mid-September, but she's in this heat and I can't breathe.
Citizen comments, anybody tonight? Nobody? Wow. Commissioner Kitchens, you want to start off?
The only comment I got is when we start talking about LMIG and even on projects that we bid out, we talked a little bit about this. Let's put some language in our bid documents that give them, I know most of the bids that I do would put, unless there's a lead time to get a piece of equipment, you have 30 days from notice to proceed.
Right.
And if you're not proceeding, we need to know why. Because last year we did the same, well, last year we had an issue with, we got LMIG money, we bid it out, we approved the projects, we approved the contractor, and then I was getting complaints 8 months later because the work hadn't been done, and we got the money and we got the contractor under contract, and it's just not happening. And by the time we get to, December and January, it's cold and rainy, and then it's a weather issue. So we went from August, September time frame to, March, April time frame. And, when there's a need on the roads, there's a need then, and if we could wait 8 months, we'd have put it off to the next year. But, I think we need to put something in, some language in there that when we get these contracts, let's get them going. So, that's all I got, Chairman.
And
Sorry for being
I do
late.
still have a visit to stick my head in. Time it seems like I'm getting ready to pull in, and my phone rings and directs me somewhere else right quick. But I will make that visit and shake a hand and see how they're getting along. Commissioner Pitts?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the city for reaching out to us and looking forward to. Well, I want to thank the city for reaching out to us and partnering, hopefully, partner with us to do this, the ladder truck. Hopefully, we have other partnership opportunities in the future to come. And I do want to share that I reached out to, Sharice Stevens with the Georgia Wellness and Fitness Festival reached out to me. And that's a festival they've been doing at least for the past 5 years. It's coming up on the 6th year. So I'm promoted all over the state. And we may be hosting a foot golf tournament in September. That's going to bring people from outside of central Georgia to Jones County to actually play foot golf at our foot golf course. So it's looking at doing this the first weekend in September. And that was the whole purpose of foot golf, tourism. And we all know that tourism is economic development. And we got people coming to town that's not spending money here. That's more money in Jones County in our revenue coffers. So look out for more details to come along with that. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
When is our chairman foot golf tournament?
I think we just do it that same Saturday, right? That first Saturday in September. So we got plenty of time to stretch and walk the course and be ready to do that thing.
All right. And I guess the rules are pretty much like golf, but you just
Pretty much,
got to
yes,
kick
sir.
it with your foot.
Just got to kick it with your foot. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Martin, you ready for foot golf?
Yeah. Probably be the only golf I can play with a torn rotator cuff, so let's do it. Real quickly, attended the NACO conference, and it was one of the most mind-blowing things for me was income tax income tax intercept, and they were using income tax intercept to recover fees owed to counties for property taxes, parking tickets, you name it. But in particular for me is property tax. In my district in particular, we have some absentee homeowners, and they may not be paying their taxes, or they might be, but I know particularly in Bibb, a lot of times you're out-of-stated or they're in-state and you can't get in touch with them. One of the things with income tax intercepts is it allows you, if there's a debt owed to the county, for you to intercept their income tax. You can cover our blighted and other issued properties and debt owed, and it was just amazing. Half the people in the meeting immediately bombarded the young lady who was coordinating the activity. Instantly, I took pictures of her card, wrote up a little synopsis, and emailed these guys and the regional commission in the hopes of implementing something like that in our state. The other thing you can intercept is lottery winnings. So if you owe taxes, you can't just get your lottery check and abscond from the state. It may not seem like a lot, but I think if you go back in our history and you look at taxes owed, if you could collect all of that and get 100% compliance, that would mean a lot to all of the citizens, because we all bear the burden of somebody else not paying their taxes. So that was huge for me. I hope that we take advantage of that. Just real quickly, a couple of proposals that we got through. I'm on the Economic and Workforce Development Committee. I know Jonathan is on. Are you on that one as well? The Opportunity Zones, which is a no-brainer. We got one approved in Haddock, and I know we were trying to do 49 not too long ago. Support legal migration to strengthen local economies and workforce. While that doesn't seem like a lot, you had farmers from all over the country concerned about the migrant workforce that does a lot of their farming. Considering we're an ag state, that's an issue for us as well. One of the other big ones was streamlining state licensing procedures for military spouses. May not seem like a big deal, but we are a military state, and we rely on not only the armed force personnel to come here, but their spouses. And if they have a license in another state, it doesn't always reciprocate. And if you're a PA or physician assistant, it could take 12 months for your license to come through. Georgia does have an umbrella policy with nursing, but not with all of the other licensing. And I don't know how it works from an attorney standpoint. Does it take longer?
Take a new bar.
Jesus Lord. So could you imagine? They already went to school, already passed the test. So we got that passed, and we're going to be pushing that up to Congress as well. And then the other one that I thought was interesting, and bear with me, proposed resolution supporting a federal study to examine lost recording fee revenues due to mortgage electronic registration system, MERS. Anybody ever heard of that? As a real estate broker, I know what that is, but what happens if I sell a piece of property to Sam and his mortgage company records it, if they then sell it to somebody else, right, our mortgage company has always sold the mortgage, the second mortgage company does not have to record that mortgage. And what happens? We miss out on that revenue. I didn't know how important that was until California said, yeah, we're missing like $1 billion in revenue. Well, California is a big state. Georgia's not quite. But when you think of how many times a property could get sold, that mortgage moves, that's revenue that we're missing out on. So that was really eye-opening and another revenue stream that I thought was important as we look at new income streams, as opposed to trying to tax people, but just collecting what's already owed to us. So those are a couple, and I got a stack that some of the commissioners asked me for. So if any citizen wants some of the other material that's available, we go all the way down into rural land protections, water, CDBG, and technology, broadband expansion. When we go to trainings, we do come back with this wealth of knowledge. We often don't always get to share it, but we at least know how to administer it. But it's available, and I'm going to hand it to Jonathan, so if you need it, get it from Jonathan. All right, thanks. And a bunch of states brought youth to conferences. We've talked about it, but we never really launched our youth program here in the government. I'd love for us to figure out allocating a portion of our training dollars to bring a student from our district to either ACCG or to another conference so they can kind of get an experience. So many states have their young people engaged in their county government that it's impressive. And the sidebar dialogue from these youngsters was amazing. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioner, we have our Youth Leadership Jones, Gray Jones, and GCAPS combined. Our first grant last year, we got it, so we
Right.
did that. We took them to the Capitol, we took them to several industrial sites in Jones County, in surrounding counties, made the rounds to government offices. And so we were limited in our first year because it was startup funds, but that's exactly what we've talked about. It was
Good.
getting up to where we can take them to bigger and better things like that, because I think we had 12 students that went through the program, and it was unbelievable to see them in the state capitol listening in on hearing sessions and sitting in the chambers, and you know, they're so welcoming there. They're like, oh yeah, come on in here, and they were like, wow, we didn't realize this is how the process works. And you know, they were very enlightened, and I think they all learned something from it. So yeah, we're gonna get bigger and better with it.
Excellent. Well, I'd be willing to donate a portion of my funds, definitely, to take a student from the 4th District, especially the ACCG coming up, Savannah. And if there's already a core group that's interested in going, just blend them right on in. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. This time, we've got an executive session coming up, and Commissioner Pitts, I got your attention earlier. I need a motion to adjourn to go into executive session.
So moved, Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank y'all. Thank everybody for coming.